Alright, hey guys. We've spoken about vignettes before, and if you haven't seen my vignette videos, just type in Vignette PlusSpec because it's great for automating things, so replicating systems. But you've never really seen a vignette work with components or with a shed. So, for instance, I just quickly whip this up now. I created this vignette before, and I'll show you how to do this. Essentially what I did is I'm not going to get caught in size at the moment, but whatever size this shed was supposed to be, I can push it up and make it a gable, say. Let's go line here. And then I can move this into a gable and I can put in a pitch or whatever it might be. Here's my shed in Sketchup. However, I need to quantify that shed and I need to ensure that it works to whatever the engineer has told us, or if you're doing the calculations, making sure the beams are correct. So what do? The first thing I'm going to do is use the beam tool, and you can create a keyboard shortcut for that, which I recommend you do. And I'm going to choose a post. And I'm going to go submit. And I put that post in there. Right? I'm also going to put a rafter in there. So let's just choose, say, a size here. Right? And I'm going to put a rafter here. And I could go and draw the whole lot and double it all up, but I'm going to show you how to avoid that by using a vignette. Right, so what I can do, I can also need another beam here for, say, this one here. Right, and we can change all these sizes later, it's not a big deal. Now, what I can do here is quickly just do this for a second. Right, I can extend these beams and make them ready to work. So beams, extend beams, and go up to here. And this is how to make the vignette. And I'm going to extend this beam through beams, extend beams to here. And I'm going to extend that to there and this to here. And it basically, so right click beams, extend beams, and then I'll be able to have a quick look at how the connections are going to work. And you can see there that I need to get that to go through. So right click, beams, extend beams. Yeah, and right click beams, extend beams. Now obviously you can make these intersect or miter or whatever it might be. Right, you might say that the post really needs to be in here and it's going to be scalloped later. Whatever it is that you think that you need to do. And really I should move this and the post back to here, so it lines up with the rafter. Right, now I can go and change the sizes and so on. So according to the bays or the spans that you would typically get out of, say, this is an RHS, but it could be a C-section purlin or anything like that, you can change it. Right, so the next thing that I would also need to do is create my maximum spacing for my roofing here. So I'm going to grab the same beam, and I'm going to bring it to here, and then I'm going to turn it on the axis. So I'm going to use Q as a keyboard shortcut, but it's actually this one here. And I'm going to turn this beam so that it sits how I want it to go. And I need to also make sure that it suits my spacing. You can see I've got a little overlap there. Bring it back to here. And my maximum iron spacing, in this case, might be 1200, say enter. Right, and I'm going to say times 3. Set up. I'm going to undo that. Control Z. Move. Tap Control. I need to get it from an edge here, guys. So, right. And tap Control. You'll notice it doubled the beam now. And I'm going to type in 1200. And I'm going to times it by 3. Okay, you can see that the maximum spacing of the purlin is, you would even this out. So I'm going to say Control Z, and I'm going to go and grab this beam again. I'm going to move it to the end because technically the spacing would start from the beam, which I'll lift up, you'll see in a second. Control. And I'm going to come down the ridge spacing here, and I'm going to say divided by 3 equals. Now I have 3 equally spaced beams. I could also go divided by 4, whatever it is that you need to do. Therefore I have equally spaced beams there according to whatever it is I need. Now, I could also miter post and so on. I'll just show you how that works. I'll just hide this for a second. Hide. Use a keyboard shortcut that again. If I selected these two, right click, beams, miter beams, and therefore I've mitered the post. You can see that you would change the size of the post or the rafter there to do it, but you get the idea. Now from here I can create this into a component. Right click, make component. And I would type in the pitch and everything like that. So I would say test structure. Right. And create. Now I can save this structure as a vignette. Right click, save as. And I'm just going to call this as test structure. You can see there, save. Therefore I have it forevermore. And if I wanted to make this into a gable like over here, I could go and say, draw the size of the shed that we had. I think I've actually already got something there, but regardless, let's say, here's our size, new size of our shed. Okay. And what I'm going to do is move and control, tap control once, and then I'm going to turn it around. So SketchUp 24 came out with this option here, which turned it around. And therefore I can now move my column to be where it is. And all I need to know now is the center as well. So if I actually found the center line, let's say up here of this here, I'll quickly make this into a face just so we can do it. If I said select, you know, I'll grab this face, copy, Control C, go inside of here, edit, paste in place, right click, beams, extend beams. And because it's inside of a component, the opposite side will do exactly the same thing, which saves us a heap of time. I can also work out my spacings again here, move control, times 3. Right, you can see I didn't move that properly, guys. I'm kind of hurrying there a little bit. So here, grab the right spot, follow it along, type in your spacing, but it is important that you will actually get a crimson line. It says there on edge of beam. If I move up, you'll notice that, there we go, I got a crimson line. I can type in my spacing, 1200, enter, times 3. Oh, there's too many, times 2, right? And now you can see I'm getting my beams. Now I do that, if I actually wanted to space this evenly, let's say we can get a maximum span out of these purlins, move, control, and the maximum span of the purlin might be, let's say, 2400. Right, and then I said times 10, whatever it is, times, you can say it's times 8, enter, right, and I can just simply go inside of my beams here, my purlins, right click, beams, extend beams, oops, there we go. Right, now all my purlins are in between. Now most of the time we'll run purlin straight over the top, so you could just extend all the way to the end if you wanted to. And with the beams here, really, this beam here isn't the ideal beam because you would run a beam all the way through to brace it all up. So I'm going to go Control X or cut. Right, this last one here is not needed. I'm going to get outside of the component. I'm going to go Edit, Paste in Place. Right, and then I'm going to go right click, Beams, Extend Beam, wherever it is that I want it to go. I'm going to say here. Get it on the end there. There we go. Right, so now my beam's all the way through. And I could also change things now. Now these purlins are only spanning 2400. I could actually go through and change all of these beam sizes to whatever it is was required according to the engineering. You notice I probably should have done the exact same thing on the other side. However, I can show you a quick way around that because whether I did it earlier or now doesn't make any difference. Right, so what am I doing? I was going to change the size. So I'll go back and I'm going to tap beam here, but I could have used the keyboard shortcut, and now I can go and change it, even change the style of the product. So I can change this to 100mm purlins instead, and you'll notice that now it's changed the sizes of the beams. I can move them all up so that they line up with the top of the roof, right? And now that we've also changed the span of here, I can change this size beam as well. Beam, keyboard shortcut, and it could be a UB or anything. Let's just go UB here and go submit. Right, and now what we're doing is we're changing the style and the quantities and the takeoff according very, very quickly on multiple areas. So vignettes, once you've created a vignette that you would normally use standard, you should save that vignette by clicking on it, right click, save as, and therefore you can create sheds you can put your wall purlins on, you can put a ceiling in there, you can do a whole heap of things, and essentially you can very quickly create a lot of information in a short amount of time. Now, before I mentioned that I made a mistake, I should have actually had this as a component as well. All I'm going to do now is just grab it, right? And I can make that a component if I wanted to. I can do two things, move it like I did before, and flip it. Or I could have just simply used the rotate tool and that, move, put it back to where it needed to go. And now you can see I have a perfectly ended shed. However, I still needed to create this end section here, and all I would do is break inside of the component, grab this one, go Control C, jump outside of the component, edit, paste in place, and you'll notice it's sitting where I grabbed it from, and I move that over to where it should be to finish the job. Right. And I move the post back because the post should be on the other side. Now I have the structure. Now you could also go and put in all of your brackets and everything before you do it. I'm just quickly showing you other possibilities that you can do so that you can save yourself a heap of time. You can change the post sizes, you can change the beam sizes, the purlin spacings, the purlin locations and everything so quick that you'll actually go, wow, I didn't realize I could do it. And you can see that I could also run another ridge beam down here if I wanted to. And sometimes the easiest way to do that might be to grab this one, move it up there, then I'll have a double beam, move, Control, right, and then I could change the size of that ridge beam. The thing is that what we need to know is that when I did that, and I move this away, you'll notice I didn't because I didn't have two components there. However, if this was a component and that was a component, then I would have had to have removed that beam and changed it around. Guys, again, hit a quick takeoff, and now I'll be able to see what I have inside of here. All of my steel beams. It's telling me the size of the steel beams, the lengths of the steel beams. You can add the weight into the steel beams via recipes. And I have a bill of quantities, and if I associate a price with these things and subcontractors and suppliers, I can now figure out the cost of the material, the cost of the labor, the time, the weight, the size of the crane, and everything from that, straight from that model. Obviously, we can create this into 2D documentation as well using the scene tool. Submit. And therefore we'll have elevation sections and structural details and everything else that we require ready to go. So if I looked at my elevations here, right, very, very quickly am I getting ready for documentation, dimensioning and everything inside a layout. I would use the center layout tool and away I go. Before you know it, I've done 30 hours work in, how long has this taken me? 13 minutes. All right, guys, hope it helps. If you've got any questions, ask them below. Don't forget about the forum, guys. We've actually done a few updates to make it easier to find things. Go back to my beam tool. Remember that there is tutorials here. If you click here. Also, if you don't have two screens, you can now click this one here, scan this QR code on your phone and watch a tutorial on your phone while you're actually drawing, and it'll help you get faster and better. Practice makes perfect. Look forward to seeing you guys succeed in everything you do. If you like the video, push like. If you dislike the video, push dislike. Make sure you tell us why, because it's really important that we can improve. Cheers.